Jon and Mike, quality assurance analysts with over 20 minutes of experience between them. They rate movies on a scientifically rigorous scale, approved or denied. They watch it, so you don't have to. This is Quality Assured Films.
Welcome back to Quality Assured Films. I'm Mike, and my pronouns are he and him.
And I'm Jon, and my pronouns are he and him. And welcome to another quarantine episode. Mike, it's so great we can do these. I hope you're enjoying them at home. Look forward to a lot more.
We're becoming web conference experts.
Yes.
We're going to continue talking about the movies that we've been watching while we've been staying at home. First up, Blumhouse's Fantasy Island.
Oh, or as Michael Pena would say, you're only allowed to have one fantasy. Fantasy Island.
There is only one fantasy per guest. Fantasy. Your fantasy begins now.
Congratulations to each of you on winning the contest. And welcome to Fantasy Island.
Life could be a dream.
A place where anything is possible. I, Mr. Rourke, ambassador to your deepest desires.
Paradise up above.
We were all curious how this all works. It's got to be some sort of immersive experience.
Life could
I promise
be a dream.
you will not be disappointed.
What'd you think of this horror comedy hybrid movie?
So I have little to no memory of the 70s show that this is based on, which starred Ricardo Montalban and Hervé Vilches. Obviously, everybody knows the catchphrase of "Ziplane, boss, ziplane."
I did think it was clever how they didn't recreate that the plane scene, but they did have the girl, when she sees the plane in the opening, run in and be like, it's here, you know.
She did say the plane.
Oh, she did?
She did.
The plane. It's here.
A theme that might come up in another review that we do is what happened to 90-minute movies?
Yeah. Yeah, that was always the sweet spot, the 90 minutes.
Why is this 2.5 hours long?
Yeah, unnecessary. So many movies are unnecessary, in general.
Mr. Rourke tailors each fantasy specifically to the guest.
I want to see some action.
We want to have it all.
Change the moment that I regret most. Revenge on a childhood bully.
Painfully unimaginative.
I don't have too much to say about this one other than the fact that it was so fucking boring. There was probably 60 minutes of movie spread over 2.5 hours, and most of this movie was, look at how hot our lead actors are. We had a weekend to shoot at this hotel. The standout for me was really Jimmy O. Yang.
Oh my god, yes.
Who we may remember as the extended family member from Crazy Rich Asians.
Yeah.
Who was out firing a bazooka on a shipping container boat.
Right. Or even the HBO's Silicon Valley hilarious role.
And he just got a comedy special. It just came out.
Oh, nice. Okay.
I wish they had spent more time with Jimmy O. Yang's character and his story, because he was the standout of the movie to me.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. And going back to what you were saying about the bouncing around of the characters and then even the time length of this film, it really felt to me very similar, and we never really got a chance to talk about this on our channel before, but It Chapter 2, which was unnecessarily long, and again, bouncing around each character, showing you what they're going through, and then moving on to another one, and then keep doing that throughout the whole film.
There is a school of thought where the art of screenwriting is, quote, meanwhile back at the ranch. So anytime a particular plot thread start to become uninteresting, you just jump over to the B plot. I don't think that works when there are 20 B plots.
That's so true.
A place where anything and everything is possible.
Your life is about to change forever. I hope you're ready.
A variety of buttons for a variety of revenge. Let's have some fun. Oh my god.
I made this reference in the opening when we were talking about this. I don't know, the tone was all over the place. Like 1 minute it's a slapstick, funny comedy. The next it's like a horror film. The next I'm watching Lost again, you know, when they get to the center of the island and the source of it, you know. They didn't really know where to go. And then it's Final Destination, but without as many deaths.
It definitely felt like a movie made by committee, which probably led to those problems.
Here's a question I have. This is more for myself, probably. The whole time, though, I was still, like, at the end of it, I was entertained. I still felt like, does that mean it's a good movie to me if I'm entertained by it? But it has a lot of shit that is not really that good. I don't know.
It would have been a really entertaining 60-minute movie.
Yeah, no.
But instead, the thin ideas that they have are stretched over 2.5 hours.
I have 5 years of memories that I didn't have yesterday.
The island wants them all together.
I think this is someone else's fantasy.
There's a lot of twists. There was a lot of like you said, a committee. It felt like, let's take bits and pieces from every film we can think of and just put it together. So, Mike, what's your verdict? Would you approve or would you deny Fantasy Island?
Fantasy Island.
I would deny Fantasy Island.
Fantasy Island.
How about you?
I'm going to approve it because, and maybe it's the times we're in right now that's skewing my approval ratings, but it was something that kind of let me escape for a moment. I as I mentioned earlier, it was entertaining enough, and I agree it didn't need to be that long. But at the end of the day, because it didn't have that gore factor that I thought it would, all that together it was fun. It's like one of those throwaway movies, like, well, years later we won't even remember it, but, so yeah, that's why I approve it.
That doesn't sound like approval to me. Years later, we won't even remember it.
Yeah. Quality.
I agree. I just watched it last night and I can barely remember it.
The
island ain't what you think it is.
We were brought here to be a part of something else.
Fantasy. Fantasy. Fantasy.
Fantasy.
Fantasy. Fantasy.
Fantasy.
Fantasy. Fantasies. Fantasies.
Fantasy.
Fantasies. Fantasies. Welcome to Fantasy Island. Fantasy.